I like that, a little enthusiasm coming back. I appreciate that. I need no introduction. I'm your pal, Fab Paulo. You all know that. Great to be back in Atlanti-con. Really happy to be here. Especially pleased to introduce our next speaker. This is DC Douglas, and you know him from many roles, which I'm not trying to make you feel old. But this will be a great opportunity. Chance to ask some questions, hear some stories, and go from there. So let's welcome him to the stage.
No, actually, it's probably, you can hear me, right? Yes? Yeah, all right. No, I'll just talk like this. Huh? So, like I said, Resident Evil, Mass Effect, Transformers, Rescue Bots. Those of you who like Japanese RPGs. Oh, yeah. Okay. Tales of Vesperia. Oh, shucks. All of a sudden I went blank on all those. Eternal Sonata. Oh, the Fire Emblem. Fates. Okay, Fates. And Heroes, too, I think, right? Yeah. I think it's in some of those. Yeah. And then, shucks, and then for like any TV stuff, I've done not a lot of big stuff, but Z Nation, I had a nice arc on that. Yeah. Sharknado too, thank you very much. I know. Yeah, Sharknado! Yeah! Probably the highlight of my career. And for those of you whose mothers watch soaps, then that would be Bold and Beautiful and Days of Our Lives. So.
Quite a very...
Everyone's like...
Yeah, you know your crowd. That's why you left that to the end. The other things.
Well, it's like my most exciting video game I've ever done is NBA 2K14, and nobody cares. Nobody cares. It's like this whole great, like it was a week's worth of work. It's full mocap. We got to improv on top of the script that we had. It was like in this great studio with so it was like doing theater in the round, but in a close-up, and they modeled the character to look like me, and. Nobody cares.
Isn't that fun? Well, that kind of leads me into, let me ask you a question. What of your work are you most proud of? Other than NB?
Yeah, other than that?
What really fills you with pride?
Well, you know what's funny is like the video game stuff, it's like I don't even know how it's going to come across until afterwards. So even Legion, as much as, I mean, that was a fairly easy voiceover job to do, because they took the effects in the voice and everything is a very subtle acting job. So it was, I mean, it was enjoyable to do and what have you, but then you see the final piece, you're like, wow, within the whole big picture, it's so, like, affecting. So I'm proud that I'm part of that, but I'm not necessarily proud of my work in that, you know what I mean? It's not like, I don't think I'm that impressive in it. But so the stuff that I'm proud of is the stuff that people don't necessarily care about. So like there's a movie called Isle of the Dead on Sci-Fi that's probably, I think it's still airing. I pitched the Asylum to produce because I'm friends with them, I've done like 6 movies with them. They're the ones who also did Sharknado. They put me in that at my request and blessed them for that. So this film, I love the work that I do in it. It's a horrible movie. Don't get me wrong. But I'm the main antagonist in it, and so like I love and we shot it. That's the other thing too is people don't get is like especially with this low budget stuff is you have such limited time. So the Isle of the Dead we shot in 11 days, and the first scene that they decided to shoot with me turned out to be like this main expository scene where after 20 minutes of just a lot of zombies being killed, they all end up in a room, and then I basically lay out the entire story for them. And it was, because I worked with the writers on it, I was able to tweak the dialogue as I went. So I had retweaked all the dialogue for that scene, thinking we were shooting it several days later. And on that first day, this director that they had to swap in said, no, we're going to shoot that one first. And I go, we're going to break it up, right? And he's like, no, we're going to shoot it all in one take. And it's like 6 pages of monologue that I had to do. And so, at the end of it, I look back and I'm like going, damn, I did good. I memorized it all, and I still had all the nuance of the character and whatnot. And of course, you guys watch it and you just go, it's kind of an okay zombie.
Yeah. That's funny.
So it's weird. So what I'm proud of and what you guys enjoy are completely different.
Well, that shows the divide between working it and watching it.
Yeah, that's
true. You know what goes into it, and you know that, and it's a cool story. Like that's an amazing story. The one take we're doing it. It's like Dan, what's his name, Bill Riley. We're gonna do it live. Let's just do it, right?
Exactly. Well, what's funny is like he shoots it. He does it all in one take, and then because we had to do coverage, and he goes, we're going to do one more, and he goes, can you pick up the pace a little? And I'm like, why? And he's like, because it's like a 12-minute scene. I go, I know, because you're not breaking it up.
12 minutes.
It's like, you read the script, didn't you? This is the big piece in the movie.
The big marathon, the marathon piece. I'm a big fan of the regular show.
Oh, yeah.
So, yes. So
yeah, I was really excited to get on that.
Yeah, that's a really great show.
The casting director for that, or the voice director also casts the voices on that show. We worked together on Resident Evil Revelations 2, and she didn't know anything about Resident Evil when she was doing that, and so usually she helps you form the voice. When you go in for a new character, they kind of establish a baseline for the voice and then you record it. But because this is an existing character and I voice him, I come in and she's like, so I guess you know how to do the voice. And I go, oh yeah. And she goes, so let me hear a little bit. And I get Albert Wesker. And I sort of start doing the voice and she's like, oh, I like him. But she ended up calling my agent. This is how half the time you can get work. It's like, you know, we audition a lot where we do our little thing in our home studio or at the agency and we send it in, and you're going to be one of like maybe 100 people that they're looking at for a voice. And if the casting director happens to either like your agency or you, then maybe you get onto the short pile and then a producer has to listen to those and then say yes to a voice. So that's kind of the general way, and it's hard to, and that's like lottery. It's like trying to win the lottery to get a gig. But every now and then, it also works that they've got to cast something really fast, and so the casting director will just immediately go to the agency she likes, or he likes, and says, send me a list of your top 5. And so I booked a lot of work that way. Or in this particular case, she just called my agency and she goes, have DC Douglas read this one line and send it in. And I'm like, what is it? And they go, just like a drill sergeant. I'm like, okay, so that's all I had to go on, just be a drill sergeant. So I do the line as a drill sergeant 3 different ways, send it in. I'm booked, recurring on the regular show for the final season. And I'm like, that was like, well, I did not expect that. So that's how our business goes. It's like, you can go for like 6 months, sometimes it's like years, where like you're barely getting any work, and then all of a sudden you hit something really big, and you're like, oh, my life just changed. Like a Geico was one of those things, changed my life. It's like struggling to get by, and then I did there was a 1-sentence audition for Geico for a tag on this commercial. Turned out it was a campaign. They did 12 spots, ran it for 2 years. I bought a house. So it's amazing. So being an actor in LA is very weird. But mind you, 20 years before that, I couldn't afford a house. So,
so how did you? I'll ask the question that I know someone's going to ask. How did you go into voice acting? Because that's a pretty distinct field. Like not everybody can do it.
Well, actually, no, I disagree. I think that anybody can do it who also is an actor, because that's the foundation for all of voiceover. It's just basically acting, but you don't get to use your eyes and anything else. It's all in the voice. But people think, well, if that's the case, then I could just do it because it's just talking. But it's still acting. You still have to have real stuff underneath it before you go to do it. So for me, what it was is, I mean, I also, in voiceover now, they want, especially in commercials, they just want regular sounding voices. But when I was growing up, you know, the announcer was, you know, the announcer. It was, you know, all those, oh, I forgot his name. He just passed away.
Bob Eubanks?
Yeah, no, but like it, no, it was the guy, Gary Owens.
Gary Owens, that's it.
He used to do this, it's Gary Owens.
Yeah.
So I had like a low voice. When I was growing up, I was always told that, like, wow, you sound, you know, your voice does not match your body, which was probably the bane of my existence as an on-camera actor for many years. But like my mom's best friend would call the house, and I'd answer the phone. She's like, she's like, who's this? And I'm like, it's, you know, it's Betty's son. And she's like, oh, sorry. Or if it was like a stranger, they'd go, a salesman, they'd go, they'd start selling me stuff, and I'm like, I'm only 12. But so I go to LA. I auditioned for like I think about 8 schools, and now I got them from the Yellow Pages because there was no internet. Sorry, that's my old age bitterness. So I found like these schools to audition for through the Yellow Pages. I go to LA for 1 week to audition for all these places. Well, one of them turned out to be a voiceover teacher, but I didn't know what voiceover was. I just saw the performing arts part of it. So I go in there, and when you audition for schools, back then you would do 2 monologues. You'd have a contemporary and a classical. And so I walk in, and it's like this little office. And she's just sitting at the desk, and I'm not used to it, because usually you'd walk in and it'd be like a performance area. And I go, well, I've got my 2 monologues, and she's like, oh. And I go, shall I do one? She's like, okay. So I performed the first monologue, and she went, that was fun, thank you. You know I'm a voiceover coach, right? And I didn't know what it was. She explained it to me, and then she told me that I had a really good voice and that I should consider doing that as a career. And I'm like, forget that, I'm here to be an actor.
Yeah.
Well, I ended up finding an acting school to go to, but I had 6 months before I had to start it. So I thought, well, I'll go explore what this voiceover thing is, because she was not expensive at all. So I got personal coaching with her, and she actually taught me a lot about word color, a lot of technical stuff.
Oh, yeah.
She was very old school from the 60s, kind of a voiceover person. But that was the beginning of it. And then every time I'd get with an agent, they'd go, you know, we have a voiceover department too. So they were always trying to get me to, because I had that voice. And they also knew that, you know, you look like you're 12 and you sound like you're 50. You're not going to get a lot of work as an actor. And they were right. But the voiceover thing sort of took off. And it's like it had different little permutations as I went through my career. So I, like back in the late 80s, there were these things called 976 lines and 900 lines. Yeah. And so they used to put all these ads on TV, and so I started doing those ads. I just was a company that hired me to do them. So that was like my first voiceover stuff. Then I got hooked up with a looping group, and looping is when you see a movie or a TV show and it's all the people that aren't the stars, that are in the background. And so they're in a restaurant and there's the main people talking and the other people in the background are talking. Well, when they shoot that, those people are just mouthing. They're actually not saying anything. And then they bring in a loop group afterwards, and then we look at the final ad and they go, okay, I'll be that person there, I'll be that person there. And then they run it, and then we all are talking at the same time, and they layer it into the piece. So that's walla, or looping, or the original looping that I knew. I didn't know about anime then. And so I started doing that for several years in a lot of movies. And then that led to a company that did these Japanese RPGs. And that led to my first video game, which was Buffy the Vampire Slayer in 2002, where I played the Master. Because the actor who plays that in the TV show was like, I'm not going to do video games. Who cares about video games? Yeah. So God bless video games. Yeah. So that was like my first one, and then it was also because of that I always have to credit, you know, Walla is what got me into Resident Evil and doing Albert Wesker. So.
Yeah. And that's a pretty iconic character.
Which I had no idea.
Yeah, I was going to say, did you know, like, I mean, you found your way into Japanese RPG and anime, which you probably really appreciate now because you're so involved with it. Well, you know, at the time, did you know?
Well, there's two stories on that. So with the anime part is that I did, Richard Epcar, who I'm now actually friends with at the time, he cast me. I auditioned for a voiceover looping thing which was anime, and I don't know anime or looping in this way, the ADR that they do. But I'm like, it's a gig, and I went in, and it doesn't pay. That's the thing, is looping in anime, ADR stuff does not pay, dubbing I should say, does not pay, it's the lowest of all the jobs you can get for voiceover, pay-wise, yeah. And especially if you're doing it for Funimation over in Texas, because they're, you know, right-to-work non-union, so it's really low, which is why a lot of them also do directing and writing and stuff like that, and a lot of conventions. But the thing was, so I did a couple of these, like, I did this like whole series as this character, and I can't remember, so sorry, I'm blanking on the name of it, because it's a Japanese name, because it was anime. I didn't realize that I was doing the entire season. I thought it was just a very long session, because it was about a 4-hour session. It was like, oh my God, this character's got a lot of lines. And apparently it was just, we did like 22 episodes, but no one told me I was doing a series. I had no idea. So a year later, they call me and they go, so season 2's up and we're ready to, and I go, season 2? And, you know, tell me a little more. And I'm like, oh yeah, I don't do that anymore. I don't do, because I didn't, like, it just doesn't pay. And I'm like, I'd rather go do a commercial out of my home studio and make the same amount of money in 15 minutes. And so I passed it, and they were like, what are you talking? They were so upset with me. And I feel bad, but it's like, if you should have told me I was doing a series to begin with. Anyway, I get into video games. I get into this Albert Wesker thing that I had no idea is a big thing. I go into voice match Peter Jessup, who I also know, because he did Wesker for one of the games. So I voice match him, and then I go and I do the game. And then afterwards, I'm at a poker night with my friends, and I mention this gig, and he's like, Albert Wesker? And I'm like, yeah, is that a big? He's like, Albert Wesker! Yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I'm like, oh shoot, it really is a big thing. And then I go, then RE5 comes, I do that. Now I know it's a big deal, I'm excited, I'm doing face mocap for it and all that. Yeah. And then I start getting these convention invitations. But then I'm realizing I go to these conventions, or anime cons are like going, we usually don't have video game people, but there's kind of a crossover with Resident Evil, so what have you. And I'm like, so what's all this other anime stuff? I'm like, why don't I do anime? Like I had completely forgotten that I had said I would never do it again. And then once I realized what it was, I reached out to all these people I knew that like direct anime. And I go, hey, I'm doing anime again. I'm willing to come in and work for nothing just so I can do these conventions.
Yeah.
So that's why I got X-Drake in One Piece.
Yeah.
Because I pitched myself to the guy who works on that show. And so that's going to be, it's only been a couple episodes right now, but it's going to, apparently he becomes one of the main people later on in the series. And then I'm working with Bang Zoom, so I've done a few animes with them. So there'll be more anime coming down the line.
That's really exciting. So what was, and I'll throw it back out to you folks in a second, but this is the advantage of being Fat Paul. I get to ask my questions first. That's the way it goes. What's the strangest job you've held in your industry?
This one! The strangest job?
The strangest job that you went and did a job and went, wow, that was weird.
Oh, well, geez, Louise, there's... Okay. This is not the strangest job, but at least the strangest job.
Okay.
I got a gig hosting Playboy's The Real Naked Truth. And it was basically what's that old show? Candid Camera. It was a candid camera, but it was a nudie candid camera. But I'm not around any of the nude people. I'm on a set, I'm in a tux, and I do this hosting. I'm this tall, skinny guy doing this thing. And then they have like these playmates who like are there with me, which is very funny. It's just very funny. Anyway, you see the picture of me. I got a picture somewhere on my website of it. Because I was literally underweight most of my life until I hit like 35, and then finally I like filled out. So I do the show, and they dice it up and all that, and I worked with these people, and it was nice. They put it out there. Anyway, I forget about it. Then I get a call from the people who did that, and they said, no, who released it, not the production team. You don't care. Anyway, let's get to the point. I get a call from these people I don't know, but they said, we were associated with that. We've got another Playboy thing, video thing. You want to come in? It's just an afternoon's worth of work. And I go, well, what is it? Am I hosting? Is it more of this? They say, no, it's just... what is it even called? I don't even remember the name of it, but essentially it was just their soft porn. You know, the little scenarios of different soft porn things happening, and they put it out on DVD because that's what they were doing then. They'd like air it late at night, but then they just throw it on DVD. And I go, so what's the role? And they go, you're not naked, you're not doing anything, you're just a guy at work, and you happen to catch some people on the monitor, and you kind of like enjoy watching them on the monitor, and then you go home. And I go, enjoy? And they said, no, you're just watching. And I'm like, well, I mean, and it's like, I paid like $500, and it was like for a half a day, and I'm like, oh, yeah, no one's gonna ever see this. So, okay, I'll go do it. So I go there, we do my filming thing, and then the next part is where they go to film with the ladies. But I have one scene where I walk out and just to turn to them, and I go, have a good night, ladies, because it's after they've done their thing. And so I go to do that last night, and I go, have a good night, ladies. And one of the girls goes, does he have to say it like that? It sounds dirty. Like, are you kidding me? What is it? And like, I just want to go home. Can we finish this scene? I want to go home. The quicker I do this, the more money technically I'm making. Anyway, I'm done with it. I forget about it. Weirdest job I've ever done. No one will ever see it. Flash forward 15 years. I'm now a mentor for underprivileged youth in Los Angeles. My mentee is a really cool kid. And this is probably like, we're 2 months into our mentorship, and he gets in the car for our day together, and he said, I got a question for you. He's like all like kind of bent into shape, and I'm like, what's wrong? He goes, did you do a porno? No, I didn't do a porno. I've never done a porno. What are you talking about? He goes, well, and he pulls out, I'll say, okay, I'll pull this detail. This detail's funny, but I'll say, but he pulls out this piece of paper. He's got notes written on. And he's like, 2 girls, monitor, and I'm like, oh, that! And I go, how did you see that? And he's like, I think he felt a little guilty that he'd seen it. He goes, no, I was at a friend's house, and we were playing a game, and then they put it, and it was on their PlayStation or something. I don't know how they do it, but. And he goes, hey, look at this, and in a second, there you were. And I'm like, he was so ashamed of me. And I'm like, really, were you ashamed of me? Or are you ashamed of yourself watching that and then seeing me? And I go, well, first up, that's not a porno. Because you didn't see any naughty bits, right? I mean, you saw boobies, but anyway. And then, like, so basically, I kind of talked to him, and I said, you can tell your mother, you know, if she wants to talk to me, and I can explain to her what the job was, but it was not a porno. Don't tell her it was a porno. And he's like, well, no, we're cool, I don't have to tell her. Now, the final note on that is that the little piece of paper that he was reading off of was a Disney princess thing. There's so much that's wrong about this moment. Anyways, that would be the weirdest
That's
finale ever.
hilarious.
Yeah.
The weirdest one I did voice for a pinball machine.
Oh, really?
So I had to do multi-ball.
Oh,
Right? So that's weird. When you play the pinball machine, your own voice is coming back at you. You're like, oh, that's weird, man. I'm a robot.
Well, try masturbating and then yourself comes on.
Should I been here for story time last night, my show. That would have fit right into my show. 18 plus. Okay, so hey, throw the audience open. Throw it open to you. Anybody have any questions or comments or anything you'd like to ask? Yes, sir, over there.
Punching boulders.
Yes! It's the only way to win, baby. He's talking about Resident Evil, where Chris has to go punch a boulder. There's something that gets when
it's lava. Something in the way is blocked, and the only way to get across. No, you don't just jump over. Instead you just start wailing on a boulder until eventually, somehow, without breaking your entire hand into dust, you punch a boulder with like one uppercut, and then just a giant like thing that's like the size of like a bus goes into the lava.
Make it sound like it's not real.
I know, like it's a game or something. Yeah, no, that's a funky moment. But that's a Roger Craig Smith thing, so when he's here, then you give him hell about it. I was playing with my tentacle all the time. So.
Anyone? Another question or comment? Anybody? Don't be shy.
You're all so shy.
When you're voice acting, how often do you actually get to like look at the finished character thing you're voicing versus, hey, I just need you to do a voice and then you don't see it till way later and this is what it's about?
Most of it is I don't get to see it until it's way later. It's every now and then. It's kind of funny you bring that up. I have this ongoing thing that that kind of bugs me. Is that I don't get to see the characters until later on when they're done. So sometimes they don't tell you things that you want to know about the characters.
Like, and you would have done it differently if you had known this.
Yeah. Oh, here's one. I'll give you one. So here's one. Is I'm Tekken. I'm in a Tekken 6, 5, 7. I'm in one of those Tekkens. And I come in and they go, oh, and it's the Japanese producer who's going to voice direct, which is usually unusual because usually there's someone else who interprets and then gives you the direction. Anyway, so he's setting the voice. So they play the Japanese, and forgive me, I can only get register from listening to Japanese. I don't get any of the other details. It's really hard because when they're speaking, so and they all do such a kind of a kabuki style of acting with those video games. So it's, it's like that. And so I go, so I start saying the lines like this. And he's like, oh, Lord. And I go, Lord. So I'll just talk like this. And now I feel like I'm an announcer pretending with a low voice. It's like, we loved it. And I'm like, well, and that's how I was a voice actor. I want you to be happy because you're paying me. Yes. So I do the voice, and they play the animatic, which is not fully colored, skinned, or any of that. It's like these blocky blocks. So, and they only played a couple of it for some action stuff, fighting stuff. So I have no idea what my character looks like. I mean, sometimes they'll show you, a lot of times they don't. So I do, off his direction, this voice. Then I see the final clip scene on YouTube, and I'm playing Wesley Snipes. And there's two problems with that. One is I don't sound like Wesley Snipes in it, and secondly, it's a black character, and there's all these black voiceover actors who would love to get some more work in our business. And we're very, I'm really big on trying to check my white privilege whenever I can. And that was an example of like, I'm only getting this because to work with me, you don't know a lot of black actors. When you really just need to reach out and cast a wider net, and you will find these people, especially this day and age. But this was a little earlier. So anyway, that happened to me once, okay? Then flash forward, and then there's this other Tekken X Street Fighter or whatever. So I go to do that, and they go, well, first they go, so I'm playing the character, and they go, so you want to hear the voice that you did before? And I go, no. I'm going to do his voice a little differently in this game. And they were cool, so I was able to fix the voice a little. Still, Then they had to throw another character at me. I don't get to see it. I go in and voice that. I find out years later, another African-American character. I'm like, come on, people.
Do I look like an African-American?
Now, but the other thing, exactly, and also there are, it's voiceover, so we should be able to do all sorts of voices, but there's this thing about, opportunity and whatnot in our industry. And so that's the thing, and I hate that I'm the person who's really trying to make an effort to be aware of it, yet I'm the one who keeps taking those roles. And So then, flash forward, I'm at a convention last year with, oh, I'm going to forget his name, Dave Fennoy, who is a marvelous, anyone who played the Walking Dead video game?
Yes.
He's the first one. He's the main character. Okay?
Oh, really?
Yeah. Oh, he's a great actor.
That's a great game.
He's a cool-looking dude when you meet him. He's got gray hair and his dreads that come down here. He looks like a character from the video game. Anyway, I'm sitting next to him at this convention. So I tell him this story about Tekken and all of that, and he just finds it really funny. And I said, recently, Bang Zoom had sent me an audition for this African American god. And I said, you know, I have a friend who I work on this other show with who has the voice of an African American god who happens to be African American. Have him audition for that. I'll audition for these other things. And I was telling him this story, and I go, that's how I'm trying to make it right. And he's like, you know, which is, I know you call it virtue signaling or whatever, but I'm like, that's what I'm trying to do. And he's like, well, good for you. And now, irony of ironies, I go in for Final Fantasy, the latest one, 15?
15.
So I go in there to do a role, this lovely British character, and it was a lovely session. It's a small role, but a nice role, and I'm like, it's a great game, franchise to be in. I'm like excited to announce it, and it comes out, and I go, hey guys, I can announce it. I'm in this game, and I play this character. Somebody gets a clip, and they sit and they go, that's you? And I'm like, that is not my voice. The character is now black. And guess who's voicing him? Dave Fennoy! and I'm like, well, that's just like, I mean, it's a beautiful irony, but it was still ironic. And then, of course, back to the regular show, I do that line as the drill sergeant, give me down, give me 50.
Yeah.
And they show me the picture. Now, it's, the way that they do those, he doesn't write the script. He does the drawings and then writes the lines underneath it, and then someone else just grabs all the lines, sticks them in a script, all uppercase, so you have no idea what's going on. But the pictures are just line art. I thought I was like this kind of pudgy Jewish guy. Yeah. No, I'm an African American. No matter what, I can't get away from doing African American roles. Anyway, I don't know what the question was, but that was the answer.
No, you answered it.
And yes, sir, go ahead.
I have a question. When you did a Zero Time Dilemma.
Yes. Oh. I can't do it with the voice. They pitched my voice down for that. So. Sorry, I really love that one.
That's actually the question, actually.
Oh yeah. Oh, they pitched the voice?
Yeah. Did they? Yeah, pitch your voice down or whatever.
Yeah. So he's talking about. It's the title's so weird. It's Zero
Time Dilemma.
Right, it's the game, but it's Zero Escape is the series.
Yeah.
So it's Zero Escape, Zero Time Dilemma. It's the third in the installment. In each game, there's somebody who is Zero. But it's a different voice each time. And in this one, I'm the main bad guy in it. And you meet him two ways, and one of the ways is where he's got his blonde beak thing. It's a really cool outfit.
Like Dr.
Little.
Like Dr.
What do they call it?
It's from the Middle Ages.
It's an actual, I was going to say psycho steampunk. So you're saying it's an actual thing that they all did?
Yeah, they'd keep like flowers and everything in it.
I'm so bad with my history.
Yeah.
So it's a really cool thing. And then when you meet him, he's actually just this older guy. He's like Wesker at age 75. And so the voice, no, I do the voice like the old man that you hear later on. I'm doing that voice the entire time. But in the mask, they pitch it way down. And the other thing too is, this is where it gets weird because it's a Japanese RPG, so it's already been done in Japanese, and everything is coded. So when you do the lines, each line has to time out to the same length, so they can just replace the files for the game. And for some reason, when they do the what they call I forgot the word, not elocution. When they're translating it from one language to the other. The word's going to hit me after you all leave, and I'll text each one of you. But it's they did a shorter version of what they should have done, so there needed to be much more dialogue to fit the time. So I go and I do a sentence, something to the effect of, "Well, I'm glad you're all here," and they go, "Okay, DC, we have 8 seconds," and that was like 1.5 seconds. And I goes, "Well, I'm glad you are all here." You need a half second more, DC. That's literally how the whole session was. Now the cool thing was he has these long monologues. So when I got to slow those down, you really get to feel out the word color and play. And it was so as an actor, it became a really enjoyable experience. Sometimes it was silly. Some of the lines really had to be stretched. So I really enjoyed doing that game. And it's kind of a little mind effort, a mind twister. a game if you guys are into it. Is it on Steam?
Yes, I believe it is.
Yeah, you guys should check it out if you're into not even time travel. It's like multi-time threads stuff. Yeah, cool. It's a very fun game.
Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
What is your favorite studio that you worked with?
Oh shucks, I love them. I mean, I love them all. It's all different. There are studios where they're just rented, and it's people on phone patch. So like Technicolor is a studio that I'll go to. Like Mass Effect was Technicolor. So I don't really know the people at Technicolor that well. I know like an engineer here or there, but they also move around to studio. So I don't have like a personal relationship with them. But then there's Cup of Tea Productions, which is the ones that got me into a lot of these Japanese RPGs. Also, it was the beginning of my Resident Evil world. They cast me in Umbrella Chronicles. So, and it's run by two ladies who are sisters, and I just love them to death. And I've known them now. It's kind of fascinating realizing I've known them for about 15 years now. So Cup of Tea is like one of my favorites. PCB Productions is another one of my favorites. Valerie around. They did Persona 4 Dancing All Night. Anyone ever play that game? Persona 4 Dancing All Night? Anybody?
I haven't, but not played it.
It's a weird one. You should play it because I'm the dance instructor.
Oh.
Hello, ladies! And then Persona 5 I also did with them. And they're a lovely, lovely group of people. Tyranny is a new game that's on Steam. It's not a big one, but you guys should check it out. It's actually apparently really interesting. And I play Lantry in that, which is, I did at PCB Productions as well. So those are when I think of studios that I have a personal relationship with, those are like the two big ones that bring me in a lot. So, yeah.
Do you have a classic animation character that you would love to do? If there's a classic.
No, I am a hack.
Oh yeah.
I do. I literally I figure out my voice when I get the audition. Whereas a true voiceover actor has about 25 or 30 voices that they can use whenever they get it. And so they'll be in the studio and they go, hey, can you give me a voice for this? It's like, yeah, I'll do my like like they do like those kind of people. I'm like, I'm like, can I come back in a day? Give me a picture of the character. I'm like, oh, it'll work out. I'll bring it back. And that's why I don't get quite a lot of work in animation. Mind you, the whole thing is I came to LA to be an on-camera actor. So it's one of those things like, oh, I got a voiceover audition? Okay, I'll audition. But I'm really waiting for something over here. So in this last 20 years of me waiting for this career over here to happen, I've been doing a lot of voiceover. And all of a sudden, apparently, I have a career as a voiceover actor. So I just like to work.
You and me both, brother.
Here's the thing about with the convention stuff. It's like there's a lot of DC fans and Marvel fans. So I would love to do like a really popular character where I don't get compared to somebody like Mark Hamill.
Right. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah.
Who, by the way, is a sweetheart. I got to work with him.
What did you work with him
on? Transformers Rescue Bots.
Wow.
He is the uncle on the show. So he's done, I don't know, maybe 6 or 7 episodes with us. So that was so fun the first time I got to meet him. It was one of those funny things where you meet the person, you're like going, oh my gosh, I'm working with Mark Hamill. And everyone is like, smiles and taking pictures and stuff like that. And then it turns out we had to wait because someone else our Peter Cullen had come in to record, so he gets to record first, so we have to wait in the waiting room, and it went on for a while. So it went from, oh my God, Mark Hamill, to later on, like about 2 hours later, where he was talking about something, and I'm like, and I'm checking my bills, and I'm like, and then I realized, oh, that's kind of funny how you get used to somebody. He is like your favorite uncle who has story after story after story.
Yeah.
But he's also like a cat that, you get those talkative cats, just like meow, meow, meow all the time. And like, even when he's not doing a story, he'll still just like, rambling, like throw out things that he's talking about or whatever. And it's he's got an amazing amount of energy. Yeah, that was cool. And Tim Curry, I got to work with
Tim Curry.
Yeah.
You what?
Well, I always say I got to work with him. Here's how it works: is I ran into Tim Curry at a movie theater, and so I had to tell him how much I loved him. And so I went up and I tapped on his shoulder. Turns around and I go, I'm so sorry to do this to you, but I just have to tell you how much I love you. And he's like, oh no, please continue. So we ended up talking for like 20 minutes, so that was really exciting. And then literally like a month later, he got cast as the main villain in Transformers Rescue Bots. So I've technically worked with him.
Oh yeah.
But he recorded separately.
Oh, that's so cool. It was funny because the whole Mark Hamill voice work, I didn't know he was doing it. And I was a big Star Wars fan.
Oh, really?
After those 3 movies, he kind of just dropped off the radar for me. Like, it was kind of like, oh, I hope he's okay. And then I would read about, oh, he's a big comic book collector. He really likes comic books. And then all of a sudden, I read this article about all the voices he had done, and I had heard all this animation and never knew it was him. And I was like, oh my gosh.
He's really amazing.
Have you seen where he does the, he does Donald Trump tweets in the Joker's voice?
Yeah, well, that was, he did that, which then started all these other voice actors doing their characters.
Oh
so.
my God, that is...
So if you are an Albert Wesker fan, if you go to my website, there is Albert Wesker doing Trump tweets on Inauguration Day.
Oh my God. Oh, yeah. Oh, that is hilarious. I got blocked by him in 2014.
Wait, by who?
Donald Trump.
Oh, okay.
Not by Albert Wesker. In 2014, I was up late one night watching television, and so him and I started arguing on Twitter the way he does, right? This is before he was a politician. So we're arguing back and forth, and I'm calling him a jerk, and he's telling me I'm a loser and stuff. So we're back and forth, back and forth. So I was watching the Aristocats, of all things, right? And there's a scene where the Aristocats are dancing to Everybody Wants to Be a Cat. And there's a scene where the cats have their butts up in the screen like this. And I realized the cats don't have any buttholes. So I stopped the movie and I took a picture and I tweeted to him. I said, Donnie, I said, I'm really confused. I see these cats don't have any buttholes. How do they poop? Can you help me? Block. I took that to get him to block me, sending him pictures of cats' bum. So,
well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It's a nice club. I got blocked by Trump and both his sons.
Oh,
so.
It's rarefied air here, right?
You got blocked by 2 villains from some teen comedy. They look like the ones that bully like the poor kids or whatever in those teen comedies.
Once I was watching you know the Pringles ad where the guys are sitting on the couch and they make the duck lips and they're like, and I don't like the commercial at all. So I tweet a lot. And I said, my idea of hell would be spending eternity with the Pringles guys. So then, 2 minutes later, the lead guy on the commercial tweets me and he goes, I'm actually pretty cool, you know. I felt so terrible. Like, it's a real person with real feelings.
Yeah, that's one of those things.
God.
That's just the corporate.
Well, like, I did a thing. Jake Tapper, you know who he is?
Yeah.
CNN guy? Yeah. He tweeted out an article, but Twitter changed its thing. So now when you tweet an article, the headline also appears as the tweet. I thought he was saying it was his opinion, and then here's a link to an article. And so, I quoted the tweet, and I said, "Hey Jake, walk the walk. It was a terrorist attack, blah blah blah, not a whatever." And then he replies back, and he says, "It's the title of the article, Dr. Mensa." And I tweeted back, and I go, "Thank you, Mr. Snarky." And I'm like, "Oh, but I don't really mean that. I like you, Jake." But it's sad when you're like, you're like, but I liked you. I didn't. Oh, okay.
Yeah. That's the weirdest thing. That's why I love Twitter, where you can just engage with random people. And it's so good because, a lot of people like it because, you friend somebody on Facebook and then you carry all their luggage for the rest of their lives, right? Like, who needs a cat? I don't want to hear about this, right? Or I ate chicken last night. But on Twitter, it's just easy, little 145. It's like Fight Club, 145 character friend. And that's it. Then you're gone.
Yeah.
So, any other questions? Now that we talked about Trump. Anybody else?
Oh, and if you, now that just before we finish up on that Trump thing, if you go to msmbreakingnews.com, also known as, think of it as mainstream media, msmbreakingnews.com. I've got a series of cartoons that I've been doing, 3 to 5 minute cartoons, called Breaking News Cartoons about the Trump era. And so you'll enjoy those. And the last episode, actually I have several voice actors guest starring on it. And now that it's all of a sudden become popular, they said, I've got a list of all these guys I get to use now for future episodes. So when I get back to LA and I'm finally settled again, I'm going to, after all this traveling, I'm going to produce another one. So you should check them out because they're really good.
Awesome. So have you been to Newfoundland before?
Nope.
What do you think so far?
It's raining!
It was beautiful yesterday.
What's that?
It was beautiful yesterday.
Oh, I know, yeah, because he picked me up from the airport yesterday, and I remember, I got in the car, talking to him, then I went, whoa, it's really pretty here. Yeah, no, it's gorgeous.
Wonderful people.
So I just spent 2 days in Toronto. I did a con last weekend in England, and then I decided I would instead of going to LA and then flying all the way back here, that I would go to Toronto and explore it for 2 days. And oh my gosh, what a wonderful city. And then to come here, it's a nice balance of Canadian experience.
Yeah, Toronto's quite a city,
Yeah.
So, any other questions or comments from anybody? Yes, sir.
You were saying you were doing a lot of TV shows, and I've seen you in a lot of great. But I don't know if anybody watched this, but you were on Two Broke Girls.
Yeah.
So I want to know how your experience was.
It's, you know, guest acting on TV shows when you're only there for an episode, it's like you just basically try to stay out of everyone's way, let them do their thing, and then just be, you know, grateful that you're working. But then it was a very fun, it was a fun episode, and also I have to credit Kat, what's her name?
Dennings.
Kat Dennings.
Dennings.
Dennings, yeah. So the way that a sitcom works is that they constantly revise the script every day of rehearsal up until the performance day. And so you have several days of rehearsal, then you have what they call the producers run through, whereas the writers and producers come and they watch it and they do some final tweaking. Then you have the network run through, and then they have any final tweaking, and then you have the performance day where you perform it usually 2 times for a live audience. And or if it's Disney or Nickelodeon for a laugh track. So for that one, I came in. Yeah, I was there for the week, but it was like it's a one scene role, so it was pretty easy. You spend a lot of time in your trailer, you know, doing stuff. And so we rehearse, we get to the producers run through, and we run it. And Kat, that's what it was. No, I didn't work the week. I came in literally for the day of the producers run through. So they had someone sitting in who was doing the role. And then that day, I'm the actor, I'm here now. So we do the scene with the producers, and right after we do the first run through of it, Kat's there and she's like, "You've got a great voice. You sound like the Law and Order guy." And like, yeah, I do a lot of voiceover work too. It's like, this is the last thing I want to hear about. I'm here to be an on-camera actor. Let's not talk about my voiceover career. But like, so that's what she says that. Producers come in, we do the run through for them. The next day I get the script, and it's been rewritten, and she's got the line, "You sound like the Law and Order guy." And it's like, all of a sudden it's about my voice, and I'm like, well, this will be great for my reel. So all of a sudden I was grateful that happened. So that was probably the highlight of that experience was being called out for that, and then being used in the show. Kind of like I did a show in the 90s called Boston Common.
Oh yeah.
And I started as like a one-line character that I think it was called Barry or something in the pilot episode. And I sent them a basket and all this little promo thing, and they thought they were so touched that I did that because they were the first-time producers, I guess. And so then they had me back when they got picked up for 6 episodes. And then I got them another gift, and so then they had me back for the next episode. And then on the next episode, I walk in, and they changed my character name to DC.
Oh.
And then from then on, for the next 6 episodes I did, I was DC. And like to where I had my own storyline in one of the episodes where I was running for a student class president as DC. And I'm like, well, that's like, you get those like neat little experiences in life. That was one of those also. So
That's so cool.
yeah. Where it's more than just walking in and doing your like, you know, a couple lines and then leaving, and anybody could have done it, you know. Yeah.
Nice. All right, we're getting towards the end. Does anyone else have any questions or comments? Anything you've always wanted to ask?
You're also mellow.
Hey, pod's becoming legal July 1st.
Is it really?
In all of
You're
Canada.
going to get very, very mellow.
Yeah, that's okay. Yes, ma'am.
Where have you played in Resident Evil? Have you sat down and played a game?
Oh, good one.
Oh, here's the thing. When I do a video game, I'll like get the cutscenes sent to me. So, and then I compile them on my website, dcdouglas.com, by the way. So there's a video game playlist. There's actually a Resident Evil playlist within there that has all my parody videos. So I've seen the scenes from it, and finally one time a friend said, you know what, you should play this game since it's the most popular game you've ever done. So I sat down and spent several hours going through the game, and I was not that impressed. I'm sorry. I want to be honest. I'm glad that like people love it and all that. And here's the thing too: is like if you play it like in a bubble, like this is just the game, it does not have as much impact as if you've been growing up with the game and playing all the iterations of it. And this I understand. But what I did not like about it is that in between scenes, they had these things come on, little factoids about Umbrella or whatever, that had nothing to do with the game you were playing. And it's like, if you're gonna do, it's like, I'm from theater, you know, where it's like everything that happens on that stage, even like you go to black to change the scenery, the music you play is going to inform you about what you just saw, what you're going to see. That's what I want in a video game. So I think that was like my big pet peeve when I was watching it. That, it's just a lot of going around and breaking and getting, you know, treasure. I wanted more drama in it. But that's also just me as an actor too.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Well, it sounds like games where the environment as well tells the story. So like a wall may say, suicide's the only option, and right next to us a wire fence opened up to a cliff.
Wow, you play dark games. No, but yeah, I like everything that it all has something to do with the universe and the lessons or whatever that you're learning. The more meaning, the better for me. So yeah, I agree. Which is why I think Mass Effect would be a game I'd really enjoy playing.
Yeah.
Because that's about all. Like it's like every action has consequences.
Yeah,
it
does. It does. It's
fantastic.
So folks, thank you very much. A big hand for Douglas. Remember, he'll be down below signing, and you can meet him and talk to him and pick his brain about things. I believe you have another panel tomorrow. Tomorrow, yeah. So feel free to come back. I'm sure some other stories will come up. But again, let's give him a big hand to welcome.